Okay, we're going to dive into a practice, and I would call this an intermediate. We just work through the OMAR's return using some of that old 1040A information. Again, the 1040A was kind of a mid-sized tax return between the EZ and the 1040. Well, now everything is all Form 1040. All right, and we're throwing in the additional parameter of a child tax credit or a dependent credit. All right. And you're going to need three things for this. And by the way, here's what's helpful. Not just watch the video if you're an at-home learner, but go through the information with me. Three things you'll need are, number one, a fillable form 1040 2020. All right. Secondly, you will need the instructions for Kevin Hooper in order to do his tax return. And then finally, you'll need a link to the tax. I'm struggling trying to find this here. The tax tables for 2020, which are hiding from me somewhere, but I will find them eventually. You know what? I might have closed them out. Let's just go find that 2020 tax tables. Tax tables, Internal Revenue Service. I'll have a link, of course, in Google Classroom for that. Let's blow that up a little bit since we're in the neighborhood. Okay, let's start with our fillable form 1040. And I'm just taking this information right off of Kevin Hooper's W-2. He is single with 2 children, which he can claim as a dependent. He also takes care of his dad who lives with his family. So in this case, Kevin's dad lives with him. Now, I'm assuming Kevin is not married. He is single, like it says there. All right. So here we go with his return. He is going to be, first of all, he is not filing as a single person because he has people living with him. He has dependents. He is a head of household. All right. That's very important to understand. Next, we're going to say we've got Kevin Hooper, and this is bogus Social Security number, no spouse. He lives at a certain place called 15 Yonder Road in Glen Head, New York, 11545. And he's going to put money in the presidential campaign fund. He had nothing to do with virtual currency. No one can claim him as a dependent. He was not born before January 2nd, 1956. And this is where I'm just going to make stuff up, okay? He's got a son named William Hooper with a bogus Social Security number, and he is a son. He qualifies for the child tax credit. That's $2,000 per kid. Then we have Catherine, making this up again, Catherine Hooper, daughter, qualifies child tax credit. Then we have Samuel Hooper, his father. Now, a father can be a dependent to his son. Now, they're not going to obviously qualify for child tax credit. They're going to qualify for credit for other dependents that are over 17 years old. And that'll be $500 per dependent when we get down to that tax credit section. Okay. So wages, salaries, tips. Here's his W-2, 62619. He had bank interest, dividends, and unemployment insurance as well. So 62619. Whoops, let's put the right number in there, Reardon. 62619 in wages, salaries, and tips. Taxable interest, as the thing said, $1,300. Ordinary dividend, $672. Now, I'm not going to show you Schedule 1, Line 9, but that's all of the other income you can earn during the year. And one of those is $900 for maybe I will show that to you. Here's Schedule 1. I just saw it over here. Schedule 1, and Line 7 says unemployment compensation, which during 2020, during COVID, unemployment compensation was a big deal because people got a lot of money and a lot of extra money. And that became big part of what their taxable income might have been for the year, with all that unemployment they received because of being laid off because of COVID stuff. So that falls under other income. And we add all of that stuff up, 65491. Okay. No adjustments to income. Adjusted gross income, 65491. Now he is a head of household, so he's going to get a standard deduction of 18,650. 12 and 13 is 0. Actually, wait a second. No, it's not 0. It's 18,650. That's what that comes out to. And his taxable income, if you take 65491, subtract 18,650, we've got 46841. 46841. Okay. Now we come over here to his tax on the next page. Boy, I'll tell you what, this 1040 is a lot easier than the old 1040, what we used to call the long form. 46,841. Now, if you notice, the head of household is going to be the last column. 46, you can test me on this. 46,800 to 46,850. The last number in that column for head of household, again, last column is head of household, and that's 5337 off the tax table for his tax on his income, 5337. So that came from 5337. There's nothing on Schedule 2. It's something else. Child tax credit or credit for other dependents. Now, I could show you this form, but it's fairly lengthy, and it's in the instructions, actually. So let's just kind of hold on that. But just understand that for now, unless you have like ridiculously high amounts of income, you get $2,000 per dependent child, 17 years or under, $500 per dependent. So Kevin's got 2 kids, which we're going to assume qualify for child tax credit as we checked up above there. So that's going to be 2 times 2,000. That's 4,000. Plus his dad is going to be additional 500. So he's going to get a child tax credit or credit for other dependents total of $4,500. And again, that's a dollar for dollar reduction of your tax. It's not just reducing your taxable income, it's reducing your tax. So his tax bill just went from 5337 down to, let's see, 0, add lines 19, 20. I was getting ready for the big punchline here. We subtract line 21 from line 18, and he's down to $837 for a tax. So because of all those dependents, it reduces his tax burden a lot. Total tax, $837. From his W-2, he had $39.08 withheld. He did not have a Form 1099. Total over here. No estimated payments, no other credits and refundable credits, nothing like that. Total payments, $39.08. Okay, so let's pause here for a second. His tax burden or his tax bill is $837. His tax withholding or his tax payments is $39.08. You can see that he way overpaid his bill. He overpaid it to a tune of $39.08 minus $837 is $3071. And he's probably going to want all that coming back to him. I'm just going to make up, you know what? Here's something really weird. I have my routing number memorized for my bank. There it is. 325182700. Okay, yeah, I'm weird. Now, I'm not actually giving you my bank account. I'm just making stuff up here. All right, so don't get excited like, ooh, Reardon gave us his routing number and his account number, and wow, we can get his account into his account now. Do you think I'm that stupid? Anyway, that is going to be checking, okay? And so in a week or two, Kevin Hooper should see that $3,000 coming into his checking account. And again, I'll just say this one more time. When you enter this stuff into, whether it's a paper return, a fillable return, or electronically in a TurboTax or Tax Act or whatever, make sure that the routing number and the account number are correct. At the bottom, of course, Kevin would sign and date and put his occupation and a PIN and blah, 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 and be done with it. That is what I would call the intermediate version of the Form 1040. And now for an assignment, you're going to do one on your own using the same information, the Fillable Form 1040 and the tax tables. Enjoy.